What up? EZOVERDOSE here. Just wanted to show you how quick a RAM disk is. I made a RAM disk for 24 gig, 32 gig of RAM. Made it for a 24 gig RAM disk and put World of Warcraft on it. And have 1.8 gig left. And I need to defrag it. So we are going to defrag. It says it's 79% fragmented. So here we go. I'm going to click defrag. And it says I have less than 10% of actual free space left, and it will possibly be slow. So here it is, running slow. Now this is defragging about 22 gigabytes. So if we can pull this up before it actually finishes. It says it's done. Doesn't look very done. No, it says it's done again. You can see there it hit like 500 megabytes a second. Now it says it's done. And it actually looks done, so that's good. So yeah, we'll do a couple more little tests here. We'll do a 1 gig 3-pass test on Crystal Disk Mark. Looks like we're getting about 8 gig a second read speed. If you don't know how fast solid state drives are, this number would be about 500, and this number would be about 500. So what these are, if you don't know, this top one here is for big files, for a large file, like reading continuously. And then this is for a smaller file, I forget the size. And then this is the 4K cluster for like tiny files. And this reflects directly on like actually loading real world stuff, like loading up Firefox and loading up small applications. This right here would pretty much directly reflect your load time of something. And this bottom one, I don't even really know what it does. It says QD equals 32 4 kilobyte. There you have it. So, just to give you an idea, if you want to compare this to a regular SATA drive, this is a slow SATA drive. It's an old SATA drive. Just use it for storage, and it's got about 50 megabyte read-write speed. We're just gonna do one pass with it, and we're gonna chop it down to like 100 megabytes just to speed it up a little bit. So I mean the numbers might be a little low because it's only one pass, but then they'll be higher because we're only doing 100 megabyte test. So this could potentially get a little bit more. Most of the higher end SATA drives that you buy right now, 7200 RPM non-green, like the non-energy saver SATA drives, for example, like the Western Digital Black Edition, which is what I'm recording to right now. They do about, if you get the ones that are like the 6 gigabit interface, the SATA 3 interface, they'll get up to about 120, 130 on this top number, and that's about all they can do. And like I said, solid state drives, they'll push about 500 read-write speed, and you can see over here we're at 8,000. So I mean it just demolishes even the fastest solid state drive. Even if you put solid state drives in RAID, it would still just demolish it. You'd have to hook up like 20 solid state drives in RAID to even come close to this. And all you need is just a shitload of RAM. So you can see here I'm running 32 gig of RAM. If you had 64 gig of RAM, you could set up a 50 something gig RAM disk, and still have leftover. You can't use all of it for a RAM disk. I set it to 24 gig. I've set it to 24,000 megabytes. Okay, you can see this one's done. You can kind of compare the numbers. It's pretty ridiculous. There's the program I use. It's called Primo RAMDisk Ultimate Edition. And you can kind of go through here, and this is exactly how you set it up. You would go up here to the top, and you would click plus, and it would bring one of these up, and it would open this menu up. Set your disk size, set it to 24,000 megabytes. 24,000 megabytes is about 23.4 gigabytes. Then you would click next. I put dynamic memory management on. Next. Disable indexing. Let it create a temp folder. That's default. Name it if you wanted to. Keep it NTSF, obviously. You can change the cluster size too. Like if you're going to be doing like text files from it, like super tiny files, you'd probably want to put it on the 512 cluster or something like that. Default's 4096. And then if you're, for some reason, I guess you wouldn't use it for this, but the bigger files, like if you're going to be doing nothing but transferring like huge movies, you could put it on the 64K cluster to get just a little bit more out of it, but it's so fast anyway that you wouldn't need to. And then you can set up folders, and then you can have it save what you put on there to an image file on your physical hard drive when you shut down. That way you don't have to load it up every time. And then here you can set it to a plain image or a compressed image, and you can set the compression just like a zip file. And then you can have it, if you want it to save every however long, you can do that too. I have that disabled because I'm playing games from it, and I don't want it to do its save and then drop frames when I so happen to be recording while it's trying to save. So just have that disabled. Then you click finish. Then you're done, and then it would create a virtual drive over here. And then you can just start clicking and dragging stuff to it. So we'll do one more test here. do another bandwidth test with the DxTory. 7 gig, 4 gig, 6 gig. Seems kind of random. It's kind of starved for space though. It's only got 1.8 gig free, so. Yeah, there you go. Hope you liked the video. If you're thinking about setting up a RAM disk, post some comments, questions. I'll see if I can give you a hand. It's pretty simple. See you around.